Hello, I'm Chris Pfluger. I am the Chief Development Officer here at We Insure, and I am here today with another We Wonder. And today is a special We Wonder because of the fact that we've had such extraordinary growth in the last year that we have recurring questions that come up. And one of the recurring questions, which is not the number one question when they're awarding a franchise, the number one question might be carrier access, or when can I get started, or how do I do training? And all of these are answered, obviously, right after you join us. After you sign the agreement, you join us, and there's an onboarding process. And so it's so critically important for everybody out there to understand that it's not just like some of those other brands you've heard about saying, well, I signed the agreement and then I didn't know what happened. Like I sat there for weeks, or they just said, do this, and I had to do it all on my own. That is absolutely opposite of how we do it here at We Insure, because this is the future of insurance, right? So we want to make sure that the foundation of your success starts in that first 4 to 6 week period. And when you hit the ground, you hit the ground running and you're good to go. That's the foundation for the rest of your success throughout your career. So with that in mind, today's We Wonder is on onboarding for success, right? So today we are joined by the head of our onboarding team, and that is Megan Osborne. Megan, how are you?
Hey, Chris, I'm great. How are you today?
I am fantastic. And again, I'm very excited about this topic. It doesn't sound exciting on the surface, but I can tell you it is the number one question that we get when people get serious. They want to know, what's up? What do I do? How does this work? And that's when the rubber meets the road, right? That's when they really want to know what's going on. We don't leave it to chance. We leave it to our onboarding team. So tell me what happens if I just sign today. What's next?
Yeah, great question, Chris. What happens as soon as you sign is we have a full logical procedure in place. This is on the basis that I have an understanding of your needs, and I communicate those needs with a whole team behind you that's ready to welcome you to We. One of the big unique features about us is that I'm actually on our franchise team. So what this means is that I have really detailed communication with your franchise consultant. I'm prepared for your experience. As soon as you join, one of the first things you do is meet with me, and I have everything prepared for you and tailored for you. The goal is to make sure that when you're onboarding with us, that we're leaving very minimal opportunities for you to have to think about anything. We want it to be completely streamlined. We want you to make sure that all the pertinent and or required items are laid out. And the goal, again, as Chris mentioned, is to get you quoting and binding business. And we do that by making sure that we're prepared for you to enter.
That's a great point, because I always joke when we're doing the sales process, I always joke with everybody, this is really an insurance business in the box, right? And you've heard that before with some other franchises, and they come back and say, no, but that's an IKEA box. And I had all these parts, and I still have to manage it. I still have things fall apart. I still have to do this. That is not the case with We Insure. And again, I've had people call me, and I'm going to leave their names out, but one of our owners called us and said, I've owned 3 franchises, and the first 2 were a lot of work to get up and running. With We Insure, it was as simple as you said it was. It was literally a step-by-step process where we hold your hand, and again, not in a bad way. And when we hold your hand, it doesn't matter if you've been in the business as an independent for 20 years or with Allstate for 20 years, or you're brand new and you said, listen, I want to add this as an ancillary to my real estate company, to my mortgage entity, to my health and life business, to my financial planning firm. I don't know anything about it. Who do I talk to? What do I do? The great news is we have a plan for you. And that's the part I want you to talk about a little bit about, because it's really a tailored process for you. It's not necessarily, you get all the same experience, but how you get to that final stage is very, very different. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, we've completely tailored this for the individual. That starts with communicating very, very closely with your franchise sales consultant. Once you come to me, I have a great understanding of what your needs are. Your needs are going to change based on what business you come from and what background you have with We. So for example, if you are coming to We Insure as an ancillary business, my goal is to make sure that it really is an ancillary business, right? We don't want you having to deal with A to Z. So the first thing we're going to do, if you haven't already established, is we're going to make sure that we establish that right agent for you. So we want to make sure that you have a producer. So we would take you down that path, which would be recruiting, finding the right fit, helping you find that right fit, whether that means, we work with agency development to make sure that you need assistance with interviewing. It could be simple as, how do I pay a producer? All of these questions pop up very, very commonly. And again, the goal is to make sure that you have to think minimal on this. There's a whole nother side to that tailored experience, which would be someone maybe who's been in the industry anywhere from 2 years, 8, 9, 10, all the way up. And they are already in the insurance industry. Maybe you're joining We Insure with a book of business, for example. And we would take your experience and we would focus more on, if needed, how to run a business, how to make sure that you have the right referral sources in place. So you come from the industry. Are your referral sources coming with you? If no, what can we do to help you figure out, A, how to get the referral sources in, and how to replicate yourself as quickly as possible. So like Chris said, they all lead to the same place, and you're ultimately set up for success. But the way that you get there would be really different depending on what type of owner you are.
So when you go through that process, Meg, I know you mentioned a few things. And so a lot of people don't think about this. A lot of people think when they buy a franchise, it's like, okay, they gave me the marks, I went to training, I'm good to go. And the reality of it, given the fact that we're probably the top growing insurance, company out there as far as, franchising brands, and the fact that we deal with a lot of different owners. Some of them are going to come back and say, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not going to be writing, insurance. I'm going to hire a producer and really help take advantage of that growth opportunity within my business. So you mentioned, we help you with recruiting. Yeah. Right. So that's great. We also help you with, when you find that right person, getting that person trained and assigned. But let me give you some of the stuff that we actually do. So do the accounting on the back end, right? So when you do the reconciliation, that's part of it. That's not part of today's discussion, but we talk about that in onboarding. Right. We talk about, immediately the first person meets probably our technology department, and they go through and make sure that your configuration is set up correctly. Mm-hmm. You're about to go into training. But if you're not, you talk to probably our marketing department first. And with that, we talk about the name, what kind of name can you get? Well, how do you set that up? How do you set up your DBA? We go that far into the process and helping you get set up for success that there's nothing left to think about. We don't say, go pick a name and come back later. We walk through the process with you. And we help you with signage. We help you with that marketing name, all the marketing materials, everything you can imagine, including your Google business setup and the reviews thereafter. So it's very comprehensive. But again, you don't have to think about it. We help you walk through step by step so it's not overwhelming. That part is my favorite part. It's easy and comprehensive at the same time, if you could say that. So then the next thing, and again, one of the most critical pieces in my mind is setting you up for that success. Talk a little bit about the training piece. So let's say in that first 4 to 6 week period, what happens with training?
Yeah, great question. Our training is broken down into what we call 3 phases. In a sense, training is ongoing though. So I tread lightly when I say 3 phases because, Chris, I think you've used this term before when you talk about We Insure is our corporate support, especially on the training agency development side, is like a nozzle. It's a dial. You can turn us up or turn us down as much as you need. And I think that that's really, really important and unique to We Insure. There's not one way for this model to fit for you. So going back to training, basically our 3 main phases would be phase 1 of training. Phase 1 is predetermined self-paced modules. So you do these modules ahead of time. It's Insurance 101. How do I avoid an E&O claim? Very, very simple, but important processes for us to make sure that you have in place before you come to our live training. That leads us up to our live training. Our live training is a week long. It is generally the 2nd or 3rd week of each month. And that's where you are in a virtual setting with our training team, agency development, and everyone else joining that training class. That portion of training is really focused on how to do business with We. That's who do I contact if I need a new password for this insurance carrier? That's how do I use the Apply to Epic rating system? The Apply to Epic rating system is a big, big portion of our training. And that's because that's the way ultimately that you're going to be able to bind business and generate revenue. So we focus heavily on that, but we also put emphasis on Chris, I know you mentioned earlier, we're going to emphasize, how do I read my accounting statement? When do I get my accounting statement? How do I customize the commission structure for my agent, et cetera, et cetera. So that's, again, that live training week is how to do business with We Insure. After live training, that's where you really get assigned to an agency development consultant. And that's where the real work begins, because you're going to take everything you've learned and we're going to start helping you apply it. So our agency development teams will have weekly pulse checks with you, and we will get you completely set up for success. A lot of those questions start reeling in after you complete the live training. So our agency development team helps you focus on that. And they also help you focus on phase 3, which are more self-paced courses. Those self-paced courses are a little bit more in depth, like commercial insurance 101, and some ethics courses, things like that. And those are designed to make sure that if you do get that commercial policy across your desk, it's like, okay, what do I do? So again, it goes in a little bit more depth. And then that's where the dial really starts is, however much you need agency development, they'll have a process laid out for you to make sure that you can utilize them and continue to be successful.
That's fantastic. And I can tell you what, I've worked with teams that have awarded almost 1,100 franchises in the last 10 years. And I can tell you that when it comes to support staff, training, how seriously we take that, and that onboarding to make it as easy and as smooth a transition, because again, we want you to get up and running as quickly as you do, right? So it's not like we want to sit there and go, well, you bought something, good luck. This is no, we want to make sure that you're set up again foundationally for that success. And again, you working with that team and working with all the different departments to make sure that person is on track and set up for that original, launch. That's the key, I think. And one of the big differentiators, and when you talk about We Insure, if you went to a captive or had your own agency, is there's a list, right? Of course, you can have more carrier access, more commercial access, that stuff is great, but really it comes down to the meat and potatoes of how your operation works and the efficiency and effectiveness of your business. That's where this and the culture of support in We is that much more important. So I think that part is what everyone asks me that question. When they really get into this, they always have questions about how many carriers do I get? Or, hey, you just moved into another new state. We're doing that national expansion. I believe today we're in 17 states. I wouldn't quote me on that because it could change tomorrow. So, but as the expansion goes, we want people to understand we are focused on that person's success and all of our existing owners' success equally. And we're here to help you grow your business. That's it. It's a service culture. So, Meg, I want to say thank you for joining me this morning. And again, it's great, I think, people to meet you and hear the story of how onboarding truly works. So Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
You got it.